Mofo Logic here. So here's my next video. I saw a video that was taken so out of context, and I saw it first through a good debunking video by People of Earth. It's a great channel. He does lots of stuff to highlight the errors of flat earthers and those kind of conspiracy thought people.
Hey everybody, Jen here. Just a quick little video to emphasize on an epic NASA fail.
So this channel's True for Butterfly. She obviously thinks she's found something and she calls it an epic NASA fail. Unfortunately for her, Richard Garriott actually was a paid space tourist. He's made his many millions making games, and he'd always wanted to go to space, so he paid. And unfortunately for True for Butterfly, he did so under the Russian space crew, so not connected to NASA at all. So the whole NASA fail fakery, you know, is a wrong assumption. It's very out of context, this video, and the thought process of someone to think, well, oh, there's been a slip and this little piece of evidence has seeped through. Now if you was to actually put some, only probably 5-10 minutes of time into googling Richard Garriott, you would find out that he was a multi-millionaire off the back of making computer games. He's got a great interesting sleight of hand magic, and he attends like magic clubs. And this next clip is him actually at his magic club. So let's just see what he said. This was after he returned from his time on the ISS.
A lot of you know I was actually searching for tricks to do in space, and one of the ones that I did in space was actually given to me or taught to me by Brad Henderson over here, who taught me to do it. I'm not going to perform it here in 1G, but this is the actual deck I did it with in space.
So as that video shows, he admits that he did many tricks. There's a bigger part of that actual video where he goes on to do that he did a complete magic show for the astronauts, and if you look at other videos in the series, I mean, he's got a great website. It's richardgarriott.co or .com. A Google search will find it. It's very simple, and you will find lots and lots of really interesting videos. You'll find he's got a magic section where it shows his complete collection of historic magic tricks. If you look at the other videos on his website, I think they're freely available on YouTube as well, and you can download them, as I have done here. You can see him perform a variety of other different tricks and experiments. So this is quite a standard magic trick that he's about to do now, that you could purchase from any magic website and learn its secrets. I'm not going to divulge the secrets of it. So notice also in this video, which happens in all of the videos that Richard appears, you will see his necklace, and he's got two hair braids that are really long, and they float constantly within the shot. You've got parts on his t-shirt, a little white part by his wrist there that's waving backwards and forwards.
To see that I can make the 5 of hearts float out entirely.
These are all pretty good signs that he is in space, because it's obviously fact. It's not part of this just a logical, less probable idea that space is fake. It's nonsense. It's he's at the minute the deck is actually rising, but the trick is the 5 of hearts which he selected then comes out and floats off. It actually floats off. He then grabs it and then places it back. So here's the same trick, and it's done by David Blaine. He was one of the guys that popularised this same trick. Obviously he's doing this under the influence of gravity, so in his version the deck doesn't float up and just the selected card does, and that's due to the nature of how the trick actually works. In his version the card won't float out of the deck, he actually just takes it out by hand. Obviously Richard's version was taking the account that he was in zero gravity at the time, so he could take the benefits of objects floating, but the trick was in a sense losing a card in the deck and for it to reveal itself without he physically really touching the deck. So let's go back to the video at hand. I've marked up positions on it with arrows. Again, I've mentioned the necklace and the hair braids a few times. The end of the hammer has got a little hook that you can hang it up with that floats back and forth. There's enough signs that he is where he is. The hammer is not CGI. That is complete nonsense to believe that the floating objects are CGI. Prior to doing the trick as well, if you watch closely, as he grips the card he just releases it a little bit and it free floats, because that's prior to him actually doing the trick. Then he lets go of the card, which would float. He's obviously set up the trick so that the card is being able to go downwards. I should imagine with a bit of thought it's not too hard to actually conclude how it's done. I'm not going to reveal, I'm just going to show you examples. So this video, next video, is actually a section that would have been the few seconds prior to the video showing. It's in a separate video elsewhere, and this is because this is more of a setup, getting himself ready to perform the trick, and this is what most magicians might do, but it's quite telling as to the mechanics of what's going on in the trick. Notice the person floating by, they're not CGI. Really stupid claims that things like that are, but look at the attention he pays as he sort of handles the card. It's a clear giveaway that he's getting set up for a trick.
But of course, my interest in magic means that I couldn't go to space without performing magic as well.
So that statement says it all, really. He's got a great interest in science, but magic was something that he felt that would be fun to explore in space with the zero gravity. So now this next clip is from a product that any one of you, all you doubters, could go and purchase if you look deep enough. If anyone really wants to look in further into this, comment and I'll, or private message, and I'll send you the details of the actual product that's being advertised here. But as you see, everything you can see here could be performed in front of you under the effects of gravity. Now, adding this clip in is the sort of clip that a flat earther might use as proof of trickery in space. So from my point of view, it's quite a risky thing to actually highlight this sort of thing, because this proves that you can make things float under the influence of gravity. But hopefully, you know, if you're honest enough with yourself, you will understand that this is not proof that they fake space. This is proof that we use trickery to do sleight of hand, yeah. And this can be performed in front of you, and it would look exactly as you see now. This is not proof that this is the techniques that they might use to fake space. This is to show you, as you can see now, I've put the things side by side with Richard, and he's using a very similar technique to the magic trick advert, but he's using it in the opposite way. So instead of trying to defy gravity and make things levitate, he's actually taking things that in his environment levitate anyway, because he's in near to zero gravity, and he is doing the complete opposite. That's the whole point of sleight of hand and magic tricks, is to mystify and make things, physical things, appear to act against the principles of, you know, things like gravity. You know, that's so that's quite an astounding thing to see things floating. The last part that I wanted to really highlight is again, this happens in lots of flat earth videos. They try and insinuate some kind of connection to Freemasons and all of that sort of secret clubs, and on the end of this video they insinuate that Richard's necklace is like a snake or a serpent. Now again, a small amount of research into Richard, you will find from a kid that he actually designed that serpent logo, and it is an active element that is used within his games, and the games that he designed many years ago. And so you can understand that he probably wears that necklace with quite a fondness to, you know, where he began when he was first coming up with the ideas for Ultima. The game's called Ultima. Again, you can search this, and that particular logo has got no relevance to the nonsense that the videos are inciting, saying that there's some secret message involved. I've yet to actually come across a single NASA faked video that doesn't have some form of logical way to analyze it, and it's just ludicrous. And to round up, so after seeing this, I contacted Richard Garriott, and I didn't actually expect a response, because I should imagine he's a busy guy, he's got other stuff going on, and you know, why is he going to be even responding to, you know, a message that he receives from, you know, just some random dude asking him questions. So I asked him regards to the video. I said obviously I've got theories on how you did the trick as an amateur magician myself, and I presented him in my short message really some methods and ideas of what he was doing when he was in space with the hammer and the card, and also the deck of cards where the card rises out in David Blaine's style. And this is what he responded. The first message back said, "Yes, the Earth is round. Yes, I was performing a magic trick. Yes, I was using standard magician methods akin to the methods that you described." And it says Richard Garriott. That's how he finished that message, which I then sent him back a message just thanking him that I was even really, astounded that he would even find time to reply. Which he sent me a last message which said, what I find funny is that even if they are fooled, why would it point to anything related to being a flat earth? The hammer still floated, my necklace was still floating. What would it actually demonstrate? It's silly, really. Oh well, use my note in good cheer. And he signs off, Richard. Which, I mean, for me, I was very, very pleased that he took the time to respond. So that concludes this. Hopefully it can clear up any faults. If anybody, I didn't want to openly reveal magic methods. If anybody wishes to know, they could either do quite simple Google searches, YouTube searches to find out some methods, or I'm happy to respond accordingly.
So that again I can stick it to my wall without losing it. Science and mathematics regularly represent great opportunities for magic.
Not only will I tell you about magic, and me and Greg Chamatoff actually performed an entire magic show, which I have here on video. A lot of you know I was actually searching for tricks to do in space, and one of the ones that I did in space was actually, a lot of you know I was actually searching for tricks to do in space, and one of the ones that I did in space was actually, a lot of you know I was actually searching for tricks to do in space, and one of the ones that I did in space was actually given to me, or taught to me by Brad Henderson over here, who taught me to do it. I'm not going to perform it here in 1G, but this is the actual deck I did it with in space. So I performed the trick he provided for me in space. Also, Brian, I didn't see Brian here today, Brian Brushwood.
He's in San Francisco.
But, he does his scam school stuff that I'm on his email list, and literally about 2 weeks prior to flight, there was a nice remote trick for doing over distance that came out in the scam school stuff. So with your great acting ability there on the scam school stuff, I